and welcome back. Today we are going to be in the kitchen. We are going to prepare this leca for the cherry baby mama because that new growth that she has started with is getting bigger and bigger, and pretty soon there'll be roots and she'll need to go into that self-watering setup. This video is specifically, well, for everyone, but Nanette, this is for you to show you how I get my leca ready to use in a pot. So I will show you first how we got here. I have my leca beads. I have 2 bowls because this is a 5-pound bag. This bag was specifically bought for the cherry baby. And then I have a colander or a strainer or whatever you call it. I have this plastic one. You can use a metal one. I've got various textured colanders. I just picked that one because it was on the top. And this is the leca that I got. This is going to be my first time using this particular brand. It was the only one I could find in stock that wasn't just 1 pound, and it was more cost effective to do the 10 pound. So what I'll do, and I like this one because it is actually a Ziploc bag, which is kind of nice. I don't know. Look at these. Don't know. It's gonna, because I'm gonna need more small ones for the cherry baby, but we'll work with what we got. So the first thing I like to do, because as you can see, there's powder and stuff in there, so I'll just fill my colander, and this is not as powdery as a lot of them either, so it might actually end up being better. But then what I do is I just shake it. And I like to do it outside because, like I said, some of them actually have a lot of dust. This one doesn't. But let's just take out any debris, dust, anything like that. And if you happen to, while you're shaking, see any that just aren't looking good at all, let's just say that one was like cracked in half and real brittle looking, I would go ahead and pull them out. Just shake it and then pour it into the bowl. And then let's do another one here. Sorry for all the noise, but that is one of the things that leca is famous for. And these are really lightweight, so it'll be interesting to see how they cook down. Like, for instance, this right here, I wouldn't want to use that. I know there's nothing wrong with it, but I wouldn't use it. So that's going to be one that I'll take out to toss. Uh-oh, dropped one in the grass. Gotta find it. Up there it is. Don't want the babies coming out here playing with it later. Alright, and then we'll pour this one. Like I said, this one is not as dusty as most of them are. Like, not a lot of dust in there. So this is actually pretty good. So I'm going to get my last bag in here. And shake it around. Depending on how dusty your leca is, you'll have to shake more than what I'm doing. But that's usually what I'll do to go ahead and get all the excess dust out, in order to not have so much waste. Again, like that little piece right there, we'll take that out. Take that one out. Okay. All right, now let's go inside and see what happens next. Okay, now that you've seen that, what we're going to do now is, before I even put them in any water, I like to run some hot water just out of the tap. Now let the water run first. And then I'm going to fill these up, let them soak for about an hour to kind of get any other debris that might be on there that we didn't get outside. Real quick note before I forget. If you have a garbage disposal, don't do leca in the garbage disposal sink because it can clog it. Best practice is to take your stopper, put it in there before you even get started, so you remember just in case something spills over or you have to use that sink for whatever reason. So I'm going to turn the water on. I'll cut that part out because it will get a little loud, and then I'll show you what I'm talking about. And I let it get as hot as possible before I start using it. So I just use my watering pan that I use for my orchids as well. I'll just fill it up, and of course I put the stopper in the sink that I was using, so I'd take that out real quick. But all I do is I'll just take, and this will kind of give you an idea of how floaty they might be as well, because like I said, this leca is really light compared to what I'm used to getting. I'm used to getting the hydroton brand, I think is what it's called. The one that's just a clear bag with red writing on it. And just like when you water your orchids and you can hear the bubbling, you can hear that in here as well. All right, let me get another. Okay, and then I'll just, of course, do the other bowl. And however many bowls you end up with, you will fill them up. And if you just want to prepare the amount of leca that you need for the specific pot that you're using, so you don't have to store it, because once you prepare it, you do want to keep it in water, and you will want to change that water out at least twice a month, if not once a week, because you don't want it going stale. So I'm going to put a little bit of water in both of these. And I'm hoping that the sound is going to be okay on this, because I am using a new mic. And this is my first video with it, so we will wait and see what happens. All right, so that's pretty much to the top. And then that water is to the top. And let me put my stopper back in here, because otherwise I'll forget and clog my sink. All right, so now I'm going to leave it soaking for 30 minutes to an hour, preferably an hour, since I don't know how this works. The other leca that I normally use, but I could only find it in 1 pound bags, and I didn't want to waste. So I'm going to leave this for an hour just to see what it does. So I'll be back in an hour. And we're back. So these have been soaking about an hour, and you know what? I'm really pleased, because the top layer is wet. It's not dried out at all. So that's actually a good thing. So then what I like to do is put it in the side that I have my stopper, because what I'm going to do is test the ppm of the water after they've been sitting in there. Now I know my tap water is 175 parts per million, so I'll take that into consideration when I test it. So let's pour them out. And I like to do it nice and slow. Show you guys something. Look at this. This is why you want to soak them before you boil them. But then I just rinse, of course, the bowl out. And then I'm going to set this bowl to the side, pull this out, and then I'm just going to run the water through to get all of that gunk that they've just soaked out of themselves, so that when I go to boil it, all that is not in the boiling water. This kind of helps expedite, and you don't have to strain as much. You've heard people say that they strain off the top. Well, if you do it this way, you don't have to do it that much. And I like to rinse it until the water runs clean all the way through. Give it a little shimmy, shimmy, shimmy. There we go. And let that drain for a minute. And I'm just going to turn you real quick, if I can figure this out. Look at all that. Look, that's the water that it was in. Do you see all that sediment? So let's take our pH meter, ppm pH meter. It's a dual. And it is reading. Let me put it on hold so I can show you. So right now, it is reading 564 parts per million, minus 175, that's way too high. Turn that off. And then I have my big pot here, since I'm doing the whole bag, the 5 pounds. I have a nice big cooking pot here. Let me move the camera so you can see it a little bit better. There we go. And move that over to the side. Now that this has been rinsed and drained, I already have some water in here. And it is tap water. I don't want to waste my filtered water boiling it. So then we'll do the same thing with this one. And I'm just going to do it on this side and let the water drain out, since you can pretty much guess it's going to be the same thing. And we will rinse this one as well. And again, I'm going to rinse until the water runs clean. There's lots of sediment coming off of this. Now there's going to be some sediment once we rinse them after we boil them, but this way you get rid of the majority of it. Okay, and then we'll shimmy shimmy this one. This one actually rinsed clean faster. And we'll shimmy shimmy to make sure we got everything out that needs to come out. Okay. Let that one drain just a wee bit. And then we're going to pour this set in. Okay. There, and then I like to press it down to see how far the water level actually is. So the water level is about right here now. When I put it in, it was about right here. So now what we'll do, and I like to use a wooden spoon off to the side, and I'm going to put it on high. And once it starts boiling, a rolling boil, I'll put it on medium high, and we're going to let it boil for 30 minutes. Okay, so we're back, but before we start, look at this cool coffee cup my daughter just brought me. It says my blood type is pumpkin spice. I know not everybody is into pumpkin spice. I love pumpkin spice. It's my favorite time of the year. But oh my gosh, it's my new favorite coffee cup. Look at it. Isn't that just the cutest? All right, back to the Leca. So I have boiled this now for an hour. So let's turn it off. I've got my water ready right down here to put the Leca in. Got colanders and of course pot holders this go around. Kind of do a repeat of what we did earlier where we just pour them into. Turn this water on real quick so it can get going. Glasses are fogged up, can't see what I'm doing. All right. The cool thing though is my humidity in the house right now is about 65%. Of course, that'll go down pretty quickly. And last little bit, let me show you guys something. So do you remember the last go around we had a real heavy film? There's still a little bit of a film, but not as heavy as it was the first time around. Put my pot off to the side. And all I do is we're going to rinse. And there's hardly anything rinsing off debris. And what I do, so the water that's in the tub is my filtered water. I don't use tap water to do the soaking. I just do it to do the boiling. But what I do also is I will boil some of my filtered water so that I warm the water up so it's not cold. Because again, I don't want to close off what we just opened up. Pour that in there. And then we'll do the other side. And again, this water, there is a little bit of color to it, but not that much. Nothing like the first time we ran through. And again, we just get it all nice until it's clear. Turn that off. And pour that in there. And then I'll take my spoon, stir it around, make sure I have enough water in here so that it's all nice and absorbing. Okay. Then my lid, which I have right over here. I put the lid on, but I don't close it all the way yet. I'll let it kind of cool down a little bit in there before I put the lid on it. Otherwise you get sweat and I don't want to build up mold. So I will leave it just sitting on top for about an hour. And then after that hour, I close it tight, let it sit for 24 hours. After 24 hours, we'll be back.